Hey, Matt. How you doing? All right. I want to thank everyone for coming here today. Really wanted to come up and spend a little bit of time up in Wheeling and in the aftermath of President Trump's decision to free up $11.7 million. I thought it would be good and have a roundtable with the local leadership to talk about some of the next steps of recovery. I want to start and take a moment and recognize so many of the people that have worked so well together. First of all, I really want to compliment your local emergency management team and your elected officials for all of the great work that you've done. We've tried to work very effectively, hand in glove, local officials in the state, and we're trying to do the same thing on the federal side as well, because that's how you're successful. It's Team West Virginia. It's not about any one office. It's about everyone working to collaborate for the common good, and that's what we've been working to do. We know that the last few months have been particularly challenging up in this area. I still grieve for the 9 deaths that we've had up in this area, and I've had a chance to talk to a number of the people who are family members of those who passed away, and it's that's not something that people are going to get over very, very easily. But as I've said, I'm really optimistic about the future of this area and West Virginia because people have come together in a way that you really haven't seen before. I think through rising waters, through damaged homes, and the unimaginable heartbreak of losing loved ones, I think this area has shown what it's like to be a West Virginian. And I want to say thank you again to everyone for all the work that you're doing. I mean, you wouldn't believe the stories of the people that are cooking the meals, offering comfort, opening up their homes to take care of those who are in need. I very much appreciate that. So I'm glad to be here today to provide an update on our state's ongoing flood response and what we're doing to help impacted families recover. So I've always said this is a process, and we're going to continue to work it. We're going to continually come up here. This is the 5th time that I've been up in this area to work on and deal with the flood-related matters. And I think every time we come, we're making a little bit more progress, and that progress needs to continue. We did have a big date Tuesday night after I had a chance to talk to the president. The president wanted me to convey his thanks to the people of West Virginia. He said, "I love West Virginia." And I know he does. He goes on and on about West Virginia and how much the people love him. And I reminded him of his trips to Wheeling and his visits to our state. And he just went on and on about that. I think he really cares a lot about what's going on. I know that he was very happy to help us. And this is the first phase, I think, of an ongoing process. So as you know, on Tuesday, it was the $11.7 million. Now we followed up with additional requests and amendments from the original application to try to secure more public assistance as well, because that's important for the process going forward. We believe that we've hit the triggers that would allow this area to recoup and unlock even more resources. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to have a chance to talk to other folks at FEMA and Homeland Security in the upcoming days. And I'm working hard to continually get more resources to help the recovery. One thing that's going to help the recovery process is for people to continue to provide information about the damage that they've had during the flood. I know that when I was up here in this very room, we gave out the website. We're going to do that again. We want people to fill that out and then follow up with the applications. There are a lot of opportunities for people to take advantage of the resources that are out there, and I'm going to walk through some of those right now. If you're eligible for the Individual Assistance Program, it's going to provide opportunities, and this is for the residents of Marion and Ohio counties, people who suffered damage through the flooding. You can actually get that assistance to include emergency repairs in a number of areas. Homes, private bridges, private roads, temporary housing, transportation, moving and storage, funeral expenses, uninsured and underinsured personal property losses, and expenses for medical, dental, legal, and child care services. That's an opportunity. We know that there are a number of private bridges. I was talking before that the state has some limitations legally of what it can do on private bridges. It's nice to know that resources can be made available to help. We know that there's still an opportunity to apply for assistance. If you go to disasterassistance.gov, you can download the FEMA app on Google Play or the Apple App Store, or you can also call 1-800-621-3362. And I want to thank the media, even if you don't cover much of this press conference live, if you can at least provide the information to help individual citizens access it. I'm grateful for that because, we're dependent in many ways upon that communications loop going back to the people who care. Because I could come up here 30 times, but if information's not getting its way to the local community, that doesn't help very much. When citizens are applying, they should have some of the following information ready. That includes social security number, the address of the damaged residence, the description of the damage and the losses, your current mailing address and phone number, your insurance information if it's available, and your total household annual income. I think that the IA program, individual assistance program, is going to be a big boost to people here. And the more people learn about it, the more opportunities there are. We're going to continue to renew our efforts on the public assistance program because we believe we qualify. And as I've mentioned to people, this is an iterative process. One thing you saw down in the southern floods is that we had early announcements, and then they changed. We added more counties. We added more assistance. There were opportunities for public health and hazardous mitigation projects. And that was very positive, but that's going to take some time, and that's natural through the process. But I can assure everyone that your state, we are running as fast as any state can possibly run, and we've had a good partnership with the local community to make that happen. I also want to thank the federal delegation for their assistance. While we've been working and getting on the phone and doing a lot of good work, they've been supplementing those efforts, and I want to thank them. You win as a team. And it makes a difference when everyone is all rowing in the same direction. So appreciate that. One thing that came to my desk yesterday is that there might be some problems accessing some of the food locally, that there might be some shortages with the local food pantries. I've gotten mixed reports on that, but to the extent that there is a need for some additional food, we're going to unlock some of those opportunities to make sure that some of the local food pantries get some additional resources. I wanted to announce that today because that's important. We do not want anyone to be without food in need. And if there are folks that are running low on food, we want to make sure that the food pantries have the ability to help in that regard. Certainly no one should be going hungry. And interestingly, that's opening up an opportunity not only for Marion and Ohio County, but the southern counties that were affected by the flood in February. People can follow through with their local food pantries. Food pantries can follow through with our office and reach out so that we can make sure that we're availing. People can avail themselves of the resources. Now, if you go back since taking office in January, I can tell you we've experienced quite a few major flood events, and a number of those have warranted federal assistance. This has cost people their homes. Their businesses, schools, churches have been affected, and obviously we've had a number of deaths, both down south and up here in Ohio County. And we've witnessed Mother Nature at her worst more than once in 2025. But we've stayed the course, and we're going to be there for each other. When times are tough, West Virginians stick together. It's Team West Virginia. I can also report to you that through the first period since the Father's Day floods for Ohio and Marion counties, that the state has expended over $10 million in this area. That makes a difference. Ohio and Marion, we've come up, and a lot of people talk about resiliency accounts. I want to assure people that all monies that are in need are going out. We have a civil contingency fund, and in fact, that's historically how a lot of the water projects have been addressed. I mentioned when I talked with some of the folks earlier that we have resources in the Milton flood wall and a lot of additional items within the Civil Contingency Fund. We've tried to utilize that wisely, and we'll continue to do so. We want to make sure if there's an existing need, we want to work with the legislature. We want to try to make that happen. We want to work with the local community. I ask every time, is there anything else the state can do, right? And I try not to leave before you give me a list. And I want to keep doing that because we have to recover. This is a huge and important part of the state. But I wanted to let folks know that we have been doing everything we can to help, and we're going to continue to do so. I know that a lot of our agencies and departments have worked side by side with your local officials, our emergency management staff, and then, of course, a lot of the folks on the ground, whether it's National Guard or Department of Highways. A couple statistics for you. As you guys know, the National Guard was activated to support the civil authorities in emergency response operations in Ohio and Marion counties. And engineering units were mobilized with heavy equipment, including loaders and dump trucks, to clear debris, restore access, and support critical infrastructure. We know that in Ohio County alone, the National Guard removed 12,480 tons of debris, and there was 480 tons of debris removed in Marion County. To give you a sense, that's a lot of manpower hours on the part of the Guard. A total of 190 West Virginia National Guard personnel were engaged in flood recovery operations, and that resulted in 19,170 manpower hours, and that was a total cost. This is the state right now of $704,632. That's significant. There were a lot of people obviously up here at the time that's needed, and will continue to come up here. This process is not over. We're not going to leave Ohio County or Marion County stranded. We're going to stand by these counties consistently. Department of Transportation, we know that DOT has been very, very aggressive in doing a lot of positive things, clearing debris to assist with the first responders and the traveling public, restoring roadways and inspecting bridges. And one thing I'm going to do, following up from my past meeting, I'm going to follow up with our DOT about any of the estimates for road openings and changes. I think that's important, and we're going to try to get that up to folks because we're continuing to work on that. I also know you guys have been hit hard repeatedly, not just with the Father's Day floods, but we're talking before with the mayor of Triadelphia. I don't know if he's still here, but we're talking a little bit about they got hit harder another week and a half afterwards that it impacted things. We're cognizant of that, and so we want to make sure we're continuing to provide help as needed. But in Ohio County, at the height of the DOT's work, there were 110 workers engaged in repair work, over 100 pieces of equipment, and that used a lot of different types of trucks. And approximately 1,013 loads were taken to landfill, equaling 6,823 tons of debris. We've used already 15,000 tons of stone to make the road repairs. And DOT alone has spent over $5.5 million just on their end. Once again, remember, these are state, and they could ultimately have some federal matches, $5.529 million in Ohio County just on the DOT side. In Marion County, at the height of the cleanup, there were 107 Department of Health workers and over 100 pieces of equipment used. Significant commitments on the part of the state, because I believe when you see a fire, you run to the fire and you try to help the problem. That's the motto we have, and we're going to keep